What would happen if dark blue states started voting for Donald Trump? Do you think the libs would be okay with that? States that have supermajorities in their state house and state senate, Democrat governors, and suddenly the state magically just swings for Trump days after the election. Do you think they'd call foul? Do you think that libs would be a little upset if California went for Trump or Vermont went for Trump? Yeah, of course they would. So why do we accept that Georgia went for Trump in 2020? Why is that something that we're just like cool with? Georgia has a massive majority in both state houses for Republicans. They have super majorities. They have a Republican governor. It's a Republican state. The vast majority of their congressional delegation is Republican. Yet in 2020, they expect us to believe that Joe Biden won Georgia. And not only that, that Georgia sacrificed both of their Senate seats, both of them, at a 50 to 49. 50 to 49. It's always that way. 50 to 49. Like they plug it right into a machine. Look, Donald Trump only got 49. All the Republicans get 49. Republican gets 49. And the Democrats win. No, everyone knows this is just not true. I mean, it defies logic that Georgia would have supermajorities in the Republican House and Senate and governor's office, and yet would send a pure slate of Democrats federally to Washington, D.C., and then vote for Joe Biden. I don't buy it. And it sounds like the people of Georgia are finally going to get some comeuppance and some truth on Thursday when Donald Trump has a major address about what really happened in that state. Of course, everybody has seen what happened with the ballot counting. The pipe burst and they shut it all down, and then they literally start dragging ballots out from underneath tables. What's going on here exactly? Well, we're going to find out. President Trump is going to do a primetime address to the nation in 24 hours, Thursday evening at 9 p.m., where he is going to talk about the hard evidence that the election in 2020 was stolen. Now, we don't know exactly what he's going to say yet, but we do know, based on some reports, that he's going to claim that perhaps the Georgia senators are not legitimate. President Trump is planning to announce that Georgia's two senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, are illegitimate because of fraud. A well-placed source tells us. Ooh, baby. You are going hard now on this. Now, what do we also see out of Georgia? We see the FBI has been surging their agents. An internal FBI memo says that nearly 300 FBI agents have been surged to Fulton County in response to the January raid. And you have now Georgia election officials saying that they may be arrested preparing the public.
Democrat says the county should be prepared for anything, whether it be the FBI's potential findings or the announcement of criminal charges.
Why would there be criminal charges if you haven't done anything criminal? Ladies and gentlemen, there's long been assertions that what happened in 2020 is that they straight up printed and manufactured ballots. That what was happening here in these videos was just pallets of ballots being run through the machine that had been printed out and were prepared and ready in order to rig the election for Joe Biden and Warnock and Ossoff. Now, what would these ballots look like? Well, 97% of the 25,000 of the 30,000 counterfeit ballots that were cast for Joe Biden and Ossoff, Kash Patel has secured possession of. Out of the batch of 950 military mail-in ballots, Joe Biden received 950 votes, while Trump received 0, all in exact sequential order. This is something that has been, Rudy Giuliani tells me that he has affidavits signed from people that were working in ballot printing factories in Georgia that were there on site to print out the number of ballots they needed in order to rig the state. Let's listen to John Fredericks.
Their counterfeit ballots. 6 affidavits. Now we had 4, now it's 6. 6 affidavits of veteran election officials are alleging that up to 30,000 of these 147 ballots are fake. Somebody printed them up on a machine and ran them through the vote counting machines. They're not real. They're not attached to anybody. They have 4 pieces of evidence for this. None of these are going away. None of these can be explained. Number one, they're on different paper. What kind of paper are they on? Why isn't the same paper that everything else is on? Number 2, they're not folded. Well, what do you mean they're not folded? In order to get an absentee ballot, you have to get it in the mail, which means that the Department of Elections in Georgia machine folded the ballot. You can't have a ballot in an envelope that you mail back or Dropbox back that's not folded. You either got it folded or you sent it back folded, or both with an envelope. So why aren't they folded? Number three, you've got the same exact bubble mark on the ballot, the same one for upwards of 30,000 of these ballots. 97% of them voting for Joe Biden, 97% voting for John Ossoff. And the fourth thing is the affidavits say that the bubble marks are not made by an ink pen or a pencil, that they're made by a machine.
Ladies and gentlemen, what will we find out? Will we find out that that's true? Let's go ahead and look at those who have benefited from the fraud and see how are their reactions exactly. Well, Reverend Raphael Warnock, amazing how he keeps the Reverend in there, even though he doesn't lead a church and is a wolf in sheep's clothing. If you actually look at his belligerent, degenerate, and abusive history as a man, he's a very evil person. Donald Trump is trying to cast doubt on the 2020 election to justify interfering in 2026. We see what he's doing, and it will not work. Stay vigilant, he says, after getting ratioed. You're a fraud. You cheat to win. You're going to be exposed as illegitimate. BS. It was all fake. Democrat operatives caught on hidden camera admitting that they rigged the 2020 Georgia election by stuffing ballots and kicking out arena poll watchers from the actual State Farm arena. Critical levels of evidence need to be reached in order to kick them out of office. But boy, that is exactly what the goal should be here. Trump is going to stay vigilant, America. It's time to protect democracy. Pass the SAVE Act. Yeah, that's right. Pass the SAVE Act. Donald Trump is at war with our democracy, and Georgia is ground zero. But if we let John Lewis, but this is John Lewis's Georgia, we are not intimidated. We are not moved. Mr. President, instead of attacking our democracy, why don't you do something about the high cost of gas, housing, and healthcare? He says, also getting ratioed. You're an absolute fraud. You cheated in the election. Ladies and gentlemen. And then John Ossoff posting this. They're scared, man. They're scared. This is, I don't know. Is this evidence of a criminal conspiracy? Cheaters, you were not elected. You were installed. Fraud. Care to explain this? TikTok. Both of you were installed due to rigged elections. There we go. This is the reaction to the reporting. Donald Trump's spiral continues. The failed president pockets billions, drives up prices, is afraid to lose the midterms, so he will reheat debunked election conspiracy theories and tell brazen new lies to deny his 2020 defeat and attack voting rights. It's a disaster for Trump. And already mired in scandal, Mike will have doubled down on the conspiracy theories, toxic general election, blah, blah, blah. Let's go ahead. Oh, yes, black voters. That's right. Illegitimate Senator Raphael Warnock is melting down. Trump may expose massive 2020 election fraud. Donald Trump's at war.
Was found today during a search of the Fulton County, Georgia election office. That search is said to be related to the 2020 election.
We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Illegitimate cheater. John Ossoff getting dragged. John Ossoff is panicking. Seems nervous. You're a fraud. Quick, say something retarded. The so-called reverend and liar and cheater. Ossoff is going to lose. Big fake reverend. Georgia reported 8.2 million registered voters. Georgia voting age citizen population was 7.9 million in 2024. Warnock opposes the SAVE Act. They have way more registered voters than voting age citizens. What could happen? What could happen, ladies and gentlemen, if they're found guilty of election fraud? Well, major criminal penalties. They could have to pay millions of dollars and imprisonment of up to 5 years based on federal code. What about state level code? Well, it varies, but common penalties include fines, prison time, and restitution. A conviction typically leads to immediate resignation, expulsion, or judicial removal. Many states have laws disqualifying convicted felons, disqualification from future office, loss of voting rights, and other civil penalty losses. Real world examples: politicians and officials convicted of voter fraud, ballot tampering, or related schemes have received prison time, fines, probation, removal from office, and cases include absentee ballot fraud, false registrations, bribery of election workers. Well, we will be tuning in. They are freaking out. Ladies and gentlemen, when all the right people are angry, you know something good is about to happen. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on Thursday night for this big